to start this session on AI Global, on advancing green industrialization through frontier technologies. This is a very distinguished panel. Thank you for coming. And then for those who are connected online, so please stay tuned. We will have a great discussion today. So we have our Deputy to the Director General, Mr. Si-Jong Soo, with us, who will provide welcome remarks. And as the panelists, so we have Mr. Reinhard Scholl, Deputy Director of ITU and Director of AI for Good, with whom we've been collaborating over the last years. ITU is the International Telecommunication Unit. We also have Ms. Vicky Zhang, Vice President, Corporate Communications Department, Huawei Technologies. We have Kasia Bulla, Scientific Director of the BRB, Center for Virtual Reality and Visualization Research here in Vienna, Austria. And then we have Marian Laban, who is a young professional, a software developer and expert on automation and robotic system from Siemens, Austria. So welcome, everybody. So today we will discuss on innovative technologies, sustainability, and the policy and regulations, all this related with artificial intelligence. And then we will also discuss how a platform like AI in Global, this is the Global Alliance on Industry and Manufacturing, supported and set up by UNIDO, can really be a place to discuss, a place to exchange ideas, a place to support policy design, and also to support private sector, in particular small and medium enterprises in developing countries and in least developed countries as well. So let me introduce our Deputy to the Director General and Managing Director of Sustainable Technical Cooperation Directorate, Mr. Si-Jong Soo, who will provide opening remarks.
Thank you, Marco. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to join this session. To be honest, I think I was excited about the subject for some time already, because I believe that for the entire humanity, say, in the digital era, we have to make a full use of the greatness of these technologies for good. But there are obviously some other side of the story. We need to be careful. We need to work together to mitigate the negative impact. Before start, I just want to draw your attention to two pieces of information contained in the edition of Financial Times dated on 2nd of November. One is that 28 countries that agreed on this cooperation to regulate AI application. This is the very first time, on voluntary basis, of course. Secondly, there was a piece of information on the Panama Canal. On what? On the worst can drought hit the canal, say over a century. That the first time that the administration has to slash the number of these ships that passing through the canal, which counts for just not big 3% of global trade. But this definitely will have some implications on many sides of the world. But this is another evidence of climate change, the impact of climate change. With all two pieces of information, then I was wondering, then how that we should get these two connected, the two connected. This is actually, I think, the theme of this session, using the technology, digital technology and AI, really to support, to contribute to the global effort on addressing climate change. we need action from this particular sector. I think we now have this always called a twin transformation or transition, yeah, green and digital. Now these two need to go hand in hand. So now for us, of course, for UNIDO, we are keen that to be part of this process, in particular, to work together with, say, partners from private sector, from government, and from also UN family, like ITU. I think now, today we have a very preliminary, this kind of panel. I think we hope that we will get their insight and their thoughts on how these two could work together to address the challenges faced by global community. So, and how that UNIDO then could really that support them. Then also then in return, say help ourselves to really to play the due role in this kind of global efforts on delivering the SDGs. So now we are not on track, say, for many SDGs. So digital and the AI technology definitely could be an enabler or accelerator or catalyst role to help us to expedite the process. So with all this in mind, I hope that our audience, including myself, could get some insight from this preliminary kind of esteemed panel. Thank you. Floor back to you, Marco.
Thank you, Mr. Su, for very enlightening introduction to this difficult topic. And before I forgot to introduce myself. So my name is Marco Camilla. So I'm the outgoing Chief of Digital Transformation and AI Strategies Division, and I'm the incoming UNIDO representative in Jakarta, Indonesia. So I will be in chair of Indonesia and ASEAN affairs very soon. And we will take this topic to the south, and to discuss and strengthen our collaboration with countries away from headquarters. So great. I will start with a first warming question to our panelists. And because one of the main challenges that we have is that how we are going to get energy demand to apply AI, and how we can balance the progress, the efficiency that we get with AI in terms of climate change. So this is a big question. We don't have an answer yet. But this is something that every day we are discussing at UNIDO, and I think in your places as well, countries, companies, private sector. This is one of the main questions. But let's see. So the question is, as we stand at the edge of a transformative era with AI redefining industry and manufacturing, we need urgent climate action. So what do you see as the single most exciting opportunity that AI presents in your field of work? So we will start with Vicky, Miss Vicky Sam from Huawei Technologies. Please, Vicky.
Thank you, Marco. It's very difficult to tell the very single opportunity on AI. Actually, we think we are now at the inflection point of the industry digital transformation to intelligent transformation. With the recent breakthrough of the foundational models, for example, the ChatGPT, I can tell you the data that after the ChatGPT launched last year, and within 3 months, there were 79 AI models, new AI models were launched in China. So there's, after ChatGPT, there's a booming of the AI models and applications. And among them, most of them are the general models, but they're also industry models. More and more industry integrate AI into their digital transformation solutions. Yeah. And Huawei, our AI strategy is we focus on the industry. Our AI strategy is AI for industry and AI for science. So we align with this strategy. We provide also our models called Pangu with the 3-layer models. The basic one, the level 0, there's 5 basic models. That's including the nature language model, also the CV model, that's including the visual recognition, yeah, including the image and the video. And also that's the multi-model, models that can merge the language and the CVs. And also we have the science computing models and also the forecast models. These are some general models to serve all the industry models. And among that, basics on that, the level 1 will be the industry models. And we already work closely with many industries, and we launched 8 to 9 industry models already. That's including for government, finance, mining industry, the vehicle, and the weather, medicine, etc. Yeah, and also above that there are also the scenario models in each specific industry. For example, take the mining industry as an example. Yeah, we work together. We set up the joint labs with the mining company of China. You know, the mining industry might be one of the most traditional industry on the earth, and they're facing a lot of challenging on the security challenging and also the carbon emissions challenge. So the smart mining solutions will help the mining industry to, more safer and more smart. And with the technology, for example, we talk about the climate change and energy. With the technology, it will enable the underground equipment to remotely inspection. Yeah, before the traditional way, the workers need to underground to inspect every day and several times maybe. And now it's only need once a week for the workers to do that. Other times can be done by AI. And also AI take a significant role in the risk prediction. Yeah, you know, if there's any risk happen, there are signals, the AI will alert, and it will make the workers and the minings more safer. And all these solutions make a huge improvement to the working experience or working environment of the workers. And more well-educated young people are willing to join this industry nowadays. So that's a change on the industry, just an example. So as a conclusion, I think if we talk about the most single opportunity, I do believe the industry foundation models will be a big opportunity for the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. I see Huawei keeps you very busy. So Reinhard, from ITU, our UN sister agency, how do you see this is the single most important challenge on AI?
Yeah, thank you, Marco. Let me first introduce ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, because maybe not everyone knows about it. So we are the United Nations Specialized Agency for Information and Communication Technologies. We do standards, we allocate frequencies to all the services that make use of electromagnetic waves, and we assist developing countries in setting up their information and communication infrastructure. We're also the organizer of AI for Good. And we started in 2017 with an annual, what we call AI for Good Global Summit. When COVID came, we had to reinvent ourselves like everyone else, and we turned AI for Good into an online platform. So it is today a content, a event, and a networking platform. We have a webinar basically every day on AI. These are very in-depth talks, technical talks, many by university professors or by industry researchers. If I could maybe just have a show of hands, who has heard of AI for Good? A few, okay, good, all right, thank you. Okay, so we also run various, we have technical groups and quite a number. We do in collaboration with UN agencies. So we have technical groups on AI. For example, one was that we started 5 years ago with WHO, the World Health Organization, that is on AI and health. And the idea is to develop a benchmarking framework for AI solutions. How can you assess whether an app tells you that you have skin cancer? Why would you trust it? So I'm coming to your question, and I think the most exciting thing that happened in AI in the last few years, it is the large language models, but I think I would say maybe equally impressive or maybe even more, but maybe hard to compare. But the most amazing for me success of AI was in the science field, and it's the protein folding problem. So I can talk a lot about it, but I'll try to keep it a bit short. So the idea is, you have the proteins consist of a number of amino acids, and then they fold into a 3D structure. And it's been really, really hard to figure out the 3D structure of a protein. But what you want is, you need to know the 3D structure, because from the 3D structure, you can then figure out the function of the protein. And so far, it takes about like one PhD student, if she or he is lucky, to figure out the 3D structure of a protein. But what DeepMind did, Google DeepMind did, they came up with a machine learning-based solution that is able to predict proteins, the 3D structure of proteins, and it's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's really pretty good. And so I think this is worth a Nobel Prize. I always say this is worth 5 Nobel Prizes, what DeepMind did here. So they were able not only to predict the proteins of all human beings, and maybe there are like 20,000 or so around, but also like all known proteins, like animal, plants, fungi, like I think over 200 million proteins. They were able to, or they are predicting the 3D structure. So this is just amazingly impressive. But then what they also did is they made all this work publicly available. They're working with the, what's it called, in Heidelberg, I forget now what it's called. So they make this all available, and this is having a huge impact, maybe not known to the people on the street, but it's going to have a huge impact, because like thousands and thousands of scientists are using that, especially in the pharmaceutical industry, and trying to figure out, design new medications. So we are, I think this is wow, this is amazing. And so this is one of the areas that ITU is working on, AI for Health, together with WHO. We also have groups on AI for natural disaster management, where we work together with UNEP and the Environment Program and the Weather People, the World Meteorological Organizations. We also have a technical working group on AI and digital agriculture that we work together with FAO. And I guess we'll come later to that. We also have a series with UNIDO on manufacturing industry.
Thank you, Reinhard. So, no, this is a very important area, and actually the UN Secretary General Guterres is supporting open source, open data. But this is something still, we don't know exactly how to do it, but we have to move in that direction. There is also the Tech Envoy on technologies from the UN, and we are working closely with New York in order to make this possible. So next we have Kasia Buller. We visited early this year the Center for Virtual Reality and Visualization Research in Austria, very close to Vienna International Center, and that was very impressive research that you're doing. But can you tell us what is the single opportunity, the most important in terms of AI?
So it's quite hard to add something on that. 2 things I had also on my list, actually. So I can give 2 answers, probably one from an industrial point of view, because this is not only an academic, we are not an academic research center, we are a translational research center, so we are transferring knowledge from science to industry. So we are trying really to fill the gap between the 2 sectors. And so I would say, and from a sustainability point of view, the most important development is that we can now optimize much faster and much more, making manufacturing with all the sensors or the data the industry has. We can make it more sustainable. We can make it more efficient, more faster. We can reduce by quality assurance. We can reduce wrong production or damaged production, whatever. And on the other hand, talking as a scientist, and that was already mentioned through the protein folding example, all the generative models which are around now, which open an opportunity especially for manufacturing, to produce individualized designs really tailored to specific applications, which I think also avoid that things are produced which are not of so good use and not of so well tailored. I mean, there is one big example, it's clothes. Yeah, so clothing and industry. So you can easily adapt, better produce some clothing for people in an individualized manner, which avoids a lot of overproduction, for instance. So I think generative models are a great opportunity here. In addition to what we heard, I mean, protein folding for sure, that's a revolution. I saw life scientists with like smiling and being really amazed about this technology, and I can imagine that this is really pushing pharma industry a lot also.
Thank you, Kasia. So now we turn to Mariam from Siemens Austria. So from the perspective of software development and young entrepreneurs, young programmers, so can you tell us what is the most important opportunity that you see from Siemens?
Thank you for having me. I think it's a true privilege to be on this panel, both as a young woman in STEM and as a youth representative. I think from a youth perspective, the most thrilling opportunity that AI offers us is to achieve a harmonious balance between sustainability, profitability, and also societal well-being, which I think goes very well with the ongoing transition from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0, and I think it also strongly supports the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And just as tech companies are actively investing in AI to maintain their competitive status, I think there's also a very compelling case to start investing in the youth, as we play a central role in this transitional phase as well.
Thank you, Mariam. I mean, AI is one of the examples that there is one character in one novel of Ernest Hemingway, no? When he has two contradictory views over the same subject in his head. I mean, AI is one example of this. So, because it has negative aspects, also positive, but we have to work with both. No? It's at the same time. So let's move to the core discussion. No? And let me go back to Vicky again. So consider your leadership in Huawei. So from a private sector perspective, how is your company integrating AI technologies to revolutionize manufacturing process and support sustainability and energy efficiency?
In Huawei, actually, we integrated AI technology into our whole process, including both the internal operation and also to our solutions to the customer. Take examples of our internal operations. Like every one of us will do the expense claimant after travel. And within Huawei, 7 or 8 years ago, we start to use AI to check the invoice. And nowadays, there's applications. We just talk with the applications. The AI will help to recognize the voice to the wording to fill the form. And also we scan the invoice to the system, and the AI will identify that and check whether it's an accurate number. things. And so before this new system, it will spend maybe 1 or 2 weeks to get the payment. But nowadays, it's only several days, even hours to get payment, and it's even not necessary to send arrange the copy to the finance department. So this is an example for the operation, how we use AI as a tool. And in our manufacturing, the smartphone producing line, we use the AI visual recognition technology to do the quality control. That the AI is much reliable than human and faster. Yeah. And also in our European supply chain center in Hungary, we, with the AI technology and also Wi-Fi 5G technology, there's most of the work was done by the automated robots. Yeah. So they, the mistake rate reduced to a very low level. Yeah, on that. And also for our solutions, the carrier network, we already include the AI into the the carrier's network operating and also the service. For example, we provide we call the autonomously driving network. Yeah, with the technology, the AI, the network can automatically to sense and to forecast the data, the telecom flow, and then it can provide the the energy models, and it will for the database and also the data center, and it will be a dynamic system, power system. So that will also a solution to handle the climate challenge. So our customers will run the network with more efficient and also with lower carbon emissions. Yeah. And also for the AI for our cloud business, as I mentioned, the Pangu model examples on mining. I also want to raise an example on the science development. So in the weather forecasting, it's a very difficult area because the weather is always changing. And with the Pangu models, they learn the global weather data during the past 40 years. Yeah, and then it has a model. Now it can forecast the weather in the coming week, just in seconds. And the traditional way and the other ways will spend several hours. And also there's a paper was accepted by the scientific journal Nature about Pangu. That details the technology, how to forecast a typhoon strength. Yeah, and it's more, the accuracy is much more than the traditional way. So that's an example on the science development. Another example is on the medicine industry. You know, when we develop a new drug, it will take years and even tens of years to have different tests. And now with the AI support, the timing, because AI will help to analysis the drugs, the infections. So we work together with a professor in Xi'an Jiaotong University Medicine Hospital, and he developed a new drug. Just using 2 years, and the previous the timing it will took 10 years. So that's something. Yeah, the AI models is also helpful to the science, as Reinhard mentioned. So I think these are some usage and examples for Huawei to deploy AI. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Very interesting. And then Reinhard. So how does international cooperation and technology sharing initiatives, particularly related with energy and climate, influence the development of ethical use of AI in industry and manufacturing?
So our AI for Good platform that's run together with 40 UN organizations, which are partners, and I'm very happy that UNIDO is one of the partners. We have a session. We have a series, what we call a discovery track on manufacturing and manufacturing. We have issued about a dozen webinars so far, given by professors, university professors, or researchers of companies. We also have, actually within ITU, I learned that while preparing for this meeting here. We actually have technical standards related to manufacturing, for example, AI-based machine vision systems that are used, for example, in smart logistical warehouses. We have standards on that topic, so perhaps maybe there is some kind of collaboration possible. I mean, we also have a number of series on AI and climate science. I'm happy to, maybe we could feature, or maybe we might perhaps already have done that. Talks on this. We have maybe perhaps about 50 talks on AI and climate science. I'm always saying the impact of climate science is, the impact of climate change is going to be huge on humankind, but the impact of AI is going to be much, much bigger. And so we have to see that this is managed well. And because you mentioned the ethical perspective, I mean, people put the problem into maybe usually 3 buckets. I would make it 4 buckets. So one bucket is like all the current problems that AI has, like misinformation, disinformation, deep fakes, bias in the data, transparency. Maybe less relevant for UNIDO, although I mean everyone would benefit from having a better understanding of why a machine learning algorithm decides what it decided to do. I mean, I had a telecom operator tell me they would rather have models that are less powerful, but giving more explanation on how the AI tool came to the conclusion. So I found that that was an interesting remark. Of course, with cybersecurity, I think this is very important for the manufacturing sector, or for UNIDO, like all the bad things, cybersecurity, that will happen, definitely will happen with machine learning. So that's one bucket. That's the short-term current problems. Then the other bucket is the long-term problems that might arise with artificial general intelligence, just super intelligent models. And there is a bit of a, I don't quite understand why that is, a bit of a fight, between those who think one should focus on the short-term problems rather than the long-term problems, but the people on the long-term problem camp say, we just don't know. We never know, and because of large language problems, many researchers are moving the deadline, or when this might happen, artificial general intelligence are moving it closer and closer. I think you just have to do both at the same time. Then the third bucket is, and I think that's also very important for UNIDO, is in the context of open source, even if you get all the governments agree on regulation, and this sounds like really difficult, given the political situation, but even suppose you get all the countries, member states agree on that, because of open source, and these language models, or these models are really powerful today, basically every person on the street could do great stuff, but could also do real damage. And so open source is a great force for democratizing AI, but then the downside is, everybody like on the street could use it to do something bad. I mean, if you build nuclear weapons, even if you know how to build nuclear weapons, actually building it is really complicated. But with large language models, wow, I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit when I say like everyone on the street could do that, but in principle, that's what we're going to. So I think this is also very important for UNIDO. I would add a fourth bucket, which is needs to be considered in the ethical discussion, and that is that one needs to ensure that the benefits of AI are really distributed among different countries, and it's just like a handful of countries who know how to do that. And then also, like even within a country, that AI is not used as a tool just to throw out people from their jobs so that things get cheaper, but that you use AI to augment what people are doing. I mean, there is a great book. I think you should read it. It was published a few months ago, I think in April. It's called Power and Progress. It's written by two MIT economist profs. One is called Professor Acemoglu, and the other one is Johnson. So I think that's a great book because they look at the 1,000-year history of technology. And they say, what the research shows is one really has to fight that the benefits of a new technology are actually distributed among the masses. For example, if you look, I guess maybe if you look around in Vienna, or you have all this, or like in Europe in general, you have these great churches and cathedrals that were built hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But this is because like the elite used the money they made to build all this stuff. But the general public didn't benefit from it. They actually got poorer in some cases. And so one really has to fight that the technological advances are distributed equitably. So I think that's going to be also a big issue for UNIDO.
Thank you, Reinhard. Now that you recommended Power and Progress, I'm going to recommend another book. This is the biography of Elon Musk, written by Isaacson. There is a chapter when he's walking around the factory, and he asks the engineers, why there are robots here? Why you digitalize? And they say, no, we are implementing artificial intelligence and digitalization. And then he made some calculations, and he says, no, people can do it faster. So take it out, take the machine. So that's interesting thing is that not necessarily everything with machines or AI is more efficient than people in terms of the factory.
There is actually, let me mention one more book you should read.
Go ahead.
And it's by Mustafa Suleyman. So he's a co-founder of DeepMind, and he was with DeepMind for about 10 years. And now he created his own startup called Inflection. So he wrote a book which came out a few weeks ago called The Coming Wave. And I think this is a good book. He focuses not just on AI, but also on synthetic biology, but mostly on AI. And I think he explains very well what the problems are. I mean, he says, I'm an optimist, but reading his book, I don't see how we can be an optimist. Yeah? But anyway, I think it's a good book for you to take a look at.
Great. So now we have reading material for the weekend. So now, Kasia, so we go back now to academic research. And then how academic research is shaping the future of AI in industry and manufacturing for integrated sustainable solutions. So can you share insights of the recent studies that your center is doing?
Yeah, it's clear academic research is pushing the state of the art, and there are many people around which are doing this with a lot of passion, actually. What I see is a bit a threat are the big companies and large models, which are like really... So in academia, I think if we want to, we have a young PhD student who wants to do a PhD in AI, it's getting more and more difficult to compete with the big companies, actually. Yeah, they are they have so much money, so much compute power, which is not always there at universities, and I really want to mention that here, because it's really getting hard to get a PhD in AI in a smaller university, let's say it like this, if you do not have the resources. And this is a threat for education, and because we need more people with AI background, strong AI background, and I do not have a solution yet for this, but maybe we can discuss that also later. It's one of the measures we need, I think, in the future, how to encourage also the young people worldwide to go into AI topic, to have the knowledge available, because this is the basis for everything, for sustainable development of AI. So what is VIAVIS doing? So we have a lot of motivated young people in our institution which really love to do also research in AI, but we are not only doing research in AI, but we try to provide a human-centered access to data, and AI is an integrated part of that. And also in combination with simulation, and also in the simulation field, AI is getting more and more prominent. We heard that about the weather forecast models, which were classical simulation models, and today you can massively accelerate simulation by using AI in certain fields. And the big challenge here is to be still physically correct. So this is, so what are we doing? Myself, I have a research group on image informatics, so I'm in all this visual inspection in combination with industry, but also with healthcare, but I think this is not a topic here today. So quality assurance, analyzing imaging data in production processes, but also supporting, for instance, material scientists and finding the right materials. This is quite challenging because the materials we are working with, or the imaging data, this might be CT data, imaging data, is quite hard to analyze, I have to say, even, and the large models fail to do that. So there is some additional stuff to do. Then we invest also time in thinking about how can we include the human in the loop. So, and I don't call that anymore human in the loop, because human in the loop means the human is serving the AI. So we are annotating data, and the AI learns to make everything fully automatic. The new idea is, and that was mentioned before also, that we can integrate that the human has agency, full agency over decision making, and that we provide solutions that integrate human with support of AI in a decision making process. So this is one of our big missions as VIAVIS, and I think that is very important, especially, I mean, it's clear AI can do a lot in fully automating, let's say, production processes. But when it comes to critical applications, safety critical applications, that was also mentioned, I think it's very important to keep the human in the loop. And another aspect here is also that we are acquiring the knowledge of experts, and we experienced already once the position of the experts. We don't want to have that. We are the experts. We can do it better. So, but at the end, we just wanted to ease their workflow and to accelerate it. So it's not about replacing humans in several fields. It's about onboarding humans and making their life easier, that they concentrate on the real important stuff.
Thank you, Kasia. I want to make a comment, but first I want to ask, is in the audience there is anybody who is a scientist or doing a PhD in AI? Anybody? No? So, you?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind actually, but I have a solution to the problem. It's not that it's my solution. I read about it, but I think it's a good solution, or I think it's something that should be done. So the know-how for large language model is mostly with big companies, and in the past, when often academia used to be at the cutting edge of research, but not in the AI field anymore, because everything is migrating to the big tech companies. So they are powerful because they have the know-how for large language models. Then you have the open source community. They also have powerful large language models. What's needed is that the governments need to fund research on AI, and they will have to pay respective salaries, so that the governments don't depend on big tech, large language models, and also not on open source. You should not become dependent on that. and or things that are from NGOs. I mean, you never know what might happen. So governments need to set up programs to fund research and also to develop their own language models. And then SMEs or universities could use these large language models, and then they come up with stuff. And like even the United States, which has most important among the most important companies for large language models, they also should set up a government-funded program where they fund where they own large language models. But it's going to cost money, but I think it has to be done. It has to be, this is super important.
Yeah, I fully agree here, and I think also that the governments should think about how to provide sustainable deep learning infrastructures. Yeah, so having accessible to academia in an easy way, because especially in Austria, what happens, I mean, everybody has its own cluster, and those which have the money with big clusters, they can do better research because they have the computational power, which doesn't mean that the small ones, like we, for instance, cannot do good research and we publish in high quality journals and so on. This is not the point, but I mean, the speed in which development can be done is much higher if the infrastructure is available, if the data is available. We are suffering quite often because we don't have access to the data. I mean, we are working with industry. I had a discussion before about getting data from industry. It can be quite tedious. Yeah, so we also invest a lot in investigation. How can we increase data quality, for instance, which is a big issue, because especially smaller companies are not used to acquire data in a structured way very often. So we even heard, okay, we have to go home to do our homework to prepare the data before we can start even thinking about AI solution for a specific field. Yeah. But for the education field, I mean, I fully support the demand, and I would like to encourage Austria, because I'm in Austria. Not only Austria, everybody here, every representative of a state. Yeah, this is really urgently needed. And if there is a good centralized access also to deep learning infrastructure, you can even do it more sustainable, because you can more easily supply it with renewable energy sources and so on. It's much better than each lab has its own deep learning service somewhere, which is currently quite often the case.
Thank you, Kasia. No, one of the points that always, so Mr. Zhu also is touching upon is about the innovation ecosystems, because in Austria, you have an innovation ecosystem doing frontier research, but in developing countries, they don't have the capacity. No? And this is something that, so taking into account the potential AI gap that can be growing in the next years, so what we are going to do in order to support the innovation ecosystems in developing countries for AI. So that's something that we have to discuss. And I think safely, since Reinhard and Kasia, you are leading experts on this, so I can safely make a comment. I remember recently, and I shared this with the team, that there was a job description looking for AI specialists, 10-year experience. No? I mean, we will have to change probably the education system in Silicon Valley after ChatGPT. So there were massive readjustment layouts in companies there. So that's interesting to what extent this way is going to come to Europe, to Asia, to Africa. So this is something we have to think about. But let me go back to Laban. So could you share your perspective on how young professionals and newcomers to the field of software development can contribute to the use of AI for more resource-efficient solutions?
I think as young professionals and new entrants, we can play multiple roles, and maybe I'll introduce my own role first. So I wear two hats in the world of AI. First, as a software developer at Siemens, where our focus is industrial automation. And in my other role, I'm a student pursuing a master's degree in automation and robotic systems with a primary focus on AI. And in my role at Siemens, we work on the automated manufacturing of power supply devices. So you have to imagine we have multiple automated production lines, and most of our processes, without getting too technical, are executed by industrial robots, with obviously a few processes that still require human intervention. So our processes range from PCB assembly, which is, for those maybe less familiar, the placement of electronic components on every single PCB and the automatic soldering, up until the packaging, which is the very last step before shipping. And since Siemens is one of the very few Austrian electronics manufacturers that still produce in Austria and haven't outsourced this task yet, I've had the chance to work up close and see the actual implementations of AI solutions. And they range from very small label checks and up until digital twins of a whole industry. And I think in this context, to answer your question, there's multiple roles we can play. We're digital natives. We've grown up with technology at our fingertips, and I think we understand its transformative power from a very young age, which makes us very exceptionally well suited to become AI specialists. I think we bring very fresh perspectives and innovative ideas, and I think combined with our digital native mindset and our AI literacy, we can challenge existing norms and drive significant breakthroughs in AI. And I don't think that just, I think we can extend that to students that don't only study engineering. I think it's applicable for young people and students in every sector. To provide an example, I think we can, as the youth, we can act as bridge builders, fostering synergies between academia, industry, and maybe even governments. And to illustrate this, consider my diploma thesis, which I'm working on right now, which focuses on material handling for industrial settings. And what makes it noteworthy in this context is that it's a joint thesis between Vienna University of Technology and Siemens, tailored to enhance Siemens production systems. And I think it's a very, very small example, but a good example to show how industry and academia can come together through the youth to provide more efficient and more innovative solutions. And I think we're also well suited to play the role of AI influencers. We can serve the public by informing them about AI, related challenges, and also the advantages. We've all encountered AI in some form, even without noticing it, whether it's unlocking your phone using your face or scanning a QR code. And I think those who are not well versed in AI nowadays will face considerable challenges in the future. And I think that's where we can jump in as young people to bridge this knowledge gap and ensure that as a society, we're well prepared for an AI-driven future. We're comfortable working with interdisciplinary teams, and I think we're not scared to challenge the norms, which makes us also very well prepared to actually drive essential conversations about the ethical use of AI, responsible AI deployment, and also sustainability, which goes hand in hand with our future. I think that goes without saying. So I don't think we're just passive participants during this transitional phase. I think we bring fresh perspectives, we engage in interdisciplinary collaborations, and I think we can contribute to important ethical considerations.
Thank you, Marian. So I just want to say that we have a very close collaboration with Siemens Germany, Siemens Austria, and the company all around the world. Let me go back to Vicky on the challenges that the private sector has in adopting AI and how this can be overcome.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the challenge because there's a lot of challenge in the AI deployment and also the digital transformation. So the first thing is, as the professor mentioned, is the computing power. The computing power is not enough. There's I saw a research report that mentioned till to 2050, the request of the computing power will be 500 times than today. So it's need the GPUs and the data centers. So how to support that requirement, because all the deep, machine learning need the power, need the computing power. So it's need also the investment from the government, and also from maybe from private sector. We also can do something. For example, we already put our computing power into our cloud service. So the SMEs, it's also might be one of the solutions to SMEs, how they can get the computing power and also the storage. So the cloud service can be maybe a solution. We also provide the AI developer tools in the cloud. So it also can help the developers to do that. So I think but it's not enough from only private sector. I think from the public sector, the investment to the data center and the public cloud is very significant. And the second thing is the high quality data. Yeah, as also Professor mentioned, it's very hard to get the high quality industry data, because it's not the general, for example, the language model, it's just languages. We can easily find everywhere, but for the industry data, it must came from the industry with the industry knowledge, and also from the expert who know the process of the industry. So it cannot only be done by the AI developers or the ICT company. It must be a joint effort from both industry expert and also the ICT company to deepen the machine learning with the industry informations. And it's not easier, yeah. And also because all the industry, they are siloed. And also for the many industry information for some leading company, it's their business confidential things, how to protect the data, and also how to protect the knowledge. It will be a big challenge. Yeah, we don't have answers to that, but it's a phase. It's an issue we need to handle. And the third thing is about the AI governance. Yeah, it will more from the public session and also from like UNIDO, yes, to think about. For example, when I talk about the how to protect the knowledge, maybe we can think about we can learn something from the IPR system. Yeah, because for example, if an industry who provide the data to train the models, and the models will be used globally, but how the data provider can benefit from that. So maybe there might be solutions on that. And also another thing is cybersecurity. So it's very how to secure the data is trusted and secured. It also need the policy to do that. And the last thing is the talent. Yeah, there's big shortage, big gaps between the requirement and the supply of the AI expert. Yeah, all people with AI skilled. So it's one solution is in the academy. We need to increase the maybe courses and majors on AI, but also it's also very important to upgrade the skills for the people who already graduated and working in the industry, because there will be a lot of work maybe done by robot, by machine. So how the worker will do. They need to also upgrade their skills to control machine, to handle with the AI. So the skill upgrading is also very important. Yeah, so that's 4 challenges. Yeah, with the.
Thank you, Vicky. Now we have a list of the topics that we can cover in COP28 and next year International Vienna and Climate Forum. So Reinhard, so can you give us example of AI for Good initiative that have significantly impacted industry or manufacturing sectors? And by the way, for those who has not signed up yet, so I will encourage to go to the web and sign up for AI for Good that we are organizing join events online and different activities. You will learn a lot by being part of this community.
Yeah, thanks, Marco, for pointing this out. We have something called, that's our brand name, the Neural Network. It's sort of a mixture between a dating app and an events platform, sort of LinkedIn. So it's a social network, and we have already about 25,000 people who signed up. So we actually have to do a little bit of work. It takes a few minutes, so we're pretty impressed that we are already at 25,000 participants, and so they're all interested in some aspect of AI. So you can sign up, and it would be great. So I did mention some of the areas that we're working with. We have in ITU we do technical work. We have I guess it's unique, I think, maybe among the world's organizations. We have a unique membership because our member states are members, but then also the sector members, like Hawaii or Facebook or Google, they are also members. They pay their dues, and then they have their rights, and they develop most of the standards work. And then we also have universities as members. And I had mentioned the work that we do, which I find really super exciting with WHO on AI and health. We have also on AI and communication networks. Already 6 years ago, we came up with, or when I say we, it's the membership came up with an architecture framework for machine learning communication networks, and we actually got a great data set from you right now for one of the challenges, one of the competitions that we are running. So maybe that's also perhaps something of interest to UNIDO, running competitions, running challenges. You give a problem statement, you give a data set, and then you crowdsource it and hope someone comes up with a good solution. We have run about 70, 80 challenges since the year 2000, competitions. And quite often the solutions that come in from just random, well not quite randomly, people who know how to do these things, they are often better than what the organization that was putting out the problem statement, what they came up with as a solution. So I think that's something which could also be of interest to UNIDO.
Thank you, Reinhard. So Kasia, what role does academia play in addressing the ethical concerns on AI? So this is the topic of the day.
Okay. I think quite a big role, because academia has the freedom to cooperate in an independent way and to follow interdisciplinary approaches to AI. So really considering free from economic considerations, what does it mean to really implement a truly ethical AI? So also, I don't know if you know that Vienna announced itself as the city of digital humanism. So there's even a UNESCO chair at Technical University Vienna. And also the Science and Research Fund of the city of Vienna gave us the chance and funded via VIS with a special grant. So we used that to develop a roadmap towards implementation of digital humanism for via VIS itself. And this ended up in a quite big discussion among the whole team, which was great to see, because there's a big wish also from the people in our research institutions to address these topics. So, and we ended up by seeing first we have to start by ourselves. So how can we develop in an ethical way always? How can we ensure in our research institutions ethical processes to everything what we do? So when we onboard when we start a new project with a company partner, do an ethical assessment of what they want to do. Sometimes it's irrelevant, but sometimes we realized, okay, there are lots of ethical concerns we have to consider. And we were really amazed that also our industrial partners, they were quite open to this discussion. At the beginning, they were like, okay, what's that now? But at the end, I mean, I think it's also our business and our mission to onboard this and to bring these ethical concerns and ethical topics, because there are so many points you have to consider, and many people are not aware of what all to consider. And especially in SMEs, which have probably other problems than thinking about, in the first moment, about ethical concerns which might arise. So then the second point is that we also started to shape our research topics into the direction of digital humanism, sustainability, and ethical topics, which include, for instance, also things like accessibility to AI, inclusivity of interfaces if you work with data. Always concerned with data bias, but also especially with reliability in what we do. How can we ensure, for instance, that AI is updatable to address the sustainability concerns? What happens if we deliver a model? It's a very simple example. A partner of us asks, okay, we need an AI model doing this and that in a production environment. We deploy it or deliver a solution, but what happens when the sensors change? In principle, they have to come back to us and we should do it, but we are a research center, and in principle, we said, okay, we always want to empower the users of AI to handle by themselves this model. But what does that mean? That means also that we have to train, and we are doing that, the people which take over the model, to empower them to do it by themselves, which again opens up very interesting research questions, because how can we give feedback in the best way to the people that the model they trained now is still reliable? This is a loop which is very interesting, and I think it's not yet fully solved. Because this is the circle of, okay, I want to have an ever-learning AI which can be updated in a good way, which also saves resources, because I do not want to retrain everything from scratch all the time. So this is in the field of continual learning, for instance, or lifelong learning of an AI. This is a very interesting field, and I think quite important.
Thank you, Kasia. I think that's an area that so the government of Austria is supporting. So recently we have a meeting at UNIDO to discuss how we can provide the human-centric approach.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting that the question that you posed, and you said we don't have the answer. So this can be the research agenda from now on. So Mariam, so what skills and knowledge do you believe are essential for the next generation of AI professionals, particularly for eco-friendly automation and robotics?
I think it has to be a blend of soft skills and technical skills. So when I speak of technical skills, I mean proficiency in programming languages like Python, Java, and C++, a deep understanding of machine and deep learning frameworks, also the basics of data science, but also combining it with strong and effective communication, strong collaboration skills, and a deep understanding of ethics and the challenges related to AI, which I think we tend to forget about. So data privacy issues, the potential misuse of AI, and also AI bias. And I think attending conferences or attending workshops or online courses is just the tip of the iceberg, because I think it's also about adopting, embracing a culture of lifelong learning, because the AI field is an ever-evolving field. Every week there's a new technology that appears, and it's hard to keep up to date.
Thank you. Please.
I have a question for you. You're a software programmer. You're writing programs.
I am.
You are using GPT-4, I'm sure.
Yes.
How much has it improved your productivity?
I can't give specific numbers, to be honest, but it has. I mean, we mainly use our AI solutions are mainly visual and machine vision related usages. And for example, I can give the example of my thesis. What it works on is the industrial automation line. We have to feed the material through trays. And basically, we use a very cheap camera to detect which position the robot has to pick up the material from, because prior to that solution, the robot would just pick every single position and maybe waste some time picking up nothing. And I think it's just about making all processes as efficient as they get, and in that sense, it would be saving time and resources and minimizing any waste.
Thank you very much. So now let me give the floor to the audience. So if you have one or two pressing questions, so please. Anybody? Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your speeches, very interesting. I have one question. How do you see the dual nature of AI, taking into consideration that it improves energy efficiency in industrial processes, and also on another hand, it is a big energy consumer itself? And could you please elaborate if this is something that AIM Global is tackling on as an issue? Thank you.
I maybe can report from a very actual project we had, where we were asked to benchmark our solution against one of the big models which just came out. So this was one of the issues. A PhD student of us was developing a very nice solution, submitted the paper, and then there was the question, okay, but there is this big, large foundational model which just came out. Does it outperform your method? It didn't, fortunately, which was a good message for the PhD student, but just also to see here the difference. So just in terms of parameters, these large foundation models used, and the model efficiency of our solution, it was much higher. It was a very small model, lightweight, easy to train, and also the inference is then much more energy efficient. So you always have to think. I think large foundation models have their meaning, and there has to be always, one has to think very well about where does it make sense to develop foundation models, and how often do they have to be updated. I think it's a quite complicated calculation. Yeah, language models have to be updated all the time, I think, because language is evolving, while probably vision models might be fully mature at a certain point. You just have to feed in enough data. So I think it's not uneasy to answer. But what the final message, maybe we have to choose very well where to invest money into foundation models, which are really energy consumpting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I also want to answer this question from the industry perspective. Your question is true, because when we talk about the computing power, it came from the data center, and the more data center, it will generate more carbon emissions. Yeah, that's true. But because the digital transforming trends will not return. Yeah, so we have to handle that. Actually, we don't have the best solution for that, but I think there might be two ways. The one way is to also for our data center, when we establish our data center, we also on research and studies on how to reduce the data center's energy energy consumption. For example, we have a very innovative cooling system. Yeah, that will, so compare with the traditional data center, the power consumption is reduced a lot compared with previous one. But of course, it's not enough, but we have to do that. And also to using the green energy, for example, the solar and the wind, yeah. And I think the second solution is, just as I mentioned, they maybe use more public cloud service to have. That means it's not necessary for every company to establish their own data center. So can share the computing power. That will make more efficiency. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Another question, please.
Hi. Okay, so I want to thank first the youth representative. Like, I'm generally a shy person, so I'm not sure if I would have asked this question if I wouldn't have somehow empathized with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for inviting her. And the question comes related to something that Reinhard said about, just a second, the use of AI and the access to AI. So AI can get us enough information to build a nuclear bomb or nuclear technology, and everyone can have access to that. It's something in these lines you said. My question comes as, is the access to information the problem, or is the access to resources? Because knowing how to build a nuclear bomb, it's not problematic. Getting the access to the resources to build it, being that other people to help you or the actual materials, that's somehow where the problem seems in my mind. Like in the whole area of medicine, knowing what drugs are poisonous is not problematic. Having access to the poisonous drugs can be problematic. So how do you see that? Like, I don't understand personally why the argument of AI gives us access to bad information, why this is an existing argument. So I'm curious about any of...
Challenging question, please.
I mean, I think the argument I'm making is like building, suppose you know the physics behind building nuclear bombs. It's a big step then to actually build one. So a person on the street cannot build a nuclear bomb. You know, there are huge resources necessary, and governments are able to do that. So you're saying if an AI tool tells me how to develop toxic molecules, okay, fine, but that's okay because I don't know yet how to actually build a molecule. But I think it's much, much more difficult to build a nuclear bomb than building, creating a new molecule. And if you look at what's happening in the biology field, in the synthetic biology field, I mean, I was flabbergasted. I read this in Suleiman's book. You know, apparently you can buy a kit on the web for, right now it costs like $25,000 apparently, and then you can use, I would have to look into the details. I'm not quite sure that I'm saying this correctly, but you can maybe use CRISPR tools, and you design your own molecules. You can design your own viruses. I think this seems to be going there. So I was just flabbergasted. That anyone can just buy this kit and basically do his or her own synthetic biology. So I think if you know how to, if you have the theoretical knowledge of building a toxic molecule, I think the step to actually building it is not as big as you think it is. Maybe today, okay, you still need quite a bit of biochemistry knowledge, but I think this is, you will need less and less. And the CEO of Anthropic, yeah, he says this is a big danger of these large language models, that they will facilitate the building of biochemical weapons. because I mean, whatever it is, researchers asked a large language model to come up with maybe molecules that are less toxic, and then they spit out molecules which were less toxic, and then it just changed the plus to a minus and say, now spit out molecules which are more toxic. And then the tool spit out the molecules which are, some of them are known, and then they're really, really, really very dangerous. So I think, AI together with synthetic biology, I think what's happening in this field right now, that everyone will basically, okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not much. Yeah, it's a much bigger difference to building nuclear bombs. I think it's going to be much, much easier for a person on the street to do real damage. And I think that's, that's the, yeah.
But I'm sorry. A follow-up question would be, like, if we give access to this to general people everywhere, and we have you need a specific level of skills and a specific level of understanding and inclusion in society and so on. So you already passed the tests by being able to do something like this and having access to an AI that you can converse with. Like, it doesn't happen that an AI makes you build a bomb. It just gives you the tools to do what you already wanted to do. So why do we have problems in a world somehow where we kind of expect that we go beyond having conflicts between groups of people? And this is maybe a bit not political per se, but activism kind of question. Why do we not trust people with giving them access to information?
Someone in the world, if we're open knowledge how to build a nuclear bomb, you can guarantee someone is going to build it. Yeah, for whatever reason, just try it out, or being somehow crazy, or if you can do bad things.
But then we can have workshops, or you can build a nuclear bomb as an experiment, and you play if you want to do it for curiosity, or we can find other ways to skip this.
I think the discussion on open source is. Open source, as I know, it's fantastic for democratizing. Like SMEs, universities, it's startups. It's great if they have access to open source tools because they can really innovate. But the downside, and I think that this is where a solution has to be found. The downside is that it really gives very powerful tools into everybody's hand, and if you can do damage, someone will do it. If there is a wide enough spectrum, millions, billions of people have access, someone for sure is going to wreak havoc. One interesting, you should read that by a paper by Nick Bostrom. He's a philosophy prof at the Oxford University. He has what he calls the vulnerable world hypothesis. So the vulnerable world hypothesis. And it basically says, if, right now, humankind has been lucky that, suppose you wanted to kill humankind, or you wanted to kill a city, or you wanted to do major damage. So far it's difficult. Nuclear bombs, okay, some people can launch them, but it's a very small number. And, hopefully it doesn't happen, but there is no guarantee. But if you make this, maybe let's say historical accident, that technology, so far if you want to kill someone, it's really difficult to do. But suppose it's as easy as putting something in a microwave oven and then the whole city explodes. It's guaranteed that someone will do it for whatever reason. You can bet on it. And so he comes to the conclusion, I think, that if that were to happen, you may have to supervise people 24/7, like every movement, because someone is going to blow up the planet. If you want to, it's an interesting paper. Take a look at it.
I think, this was a good question, and I think, Reinhard, this is the topic for your book. Huh? That will be interesting to have a book. Yeah? This is a really, really a fascinating conversation. So we know that technology is not neutral. Technology is not bad or good. We can invent or we can use asbestos, and then you see the consequences. We invent air conditioning, and we have chlorofluorocarbons affecting climate change. So, but we don't know. And then what will be the alternative? Stop progress, stop scientific research. Some people are proposing degrowth, not growing, to contain climate change. So is it something realistic? That's something also, that's another topic to think over the weekend. But now, let me give the floor to Mr. Su, who is going to provide closing remarks.
Thank you, Mark. Actually, I would like maybe to firstly thank the panel for this very interesting and of the thought-provoking, also this kind of exchange and discussion. From my side, some kind of really reflections based on the exchange we just had from this panel. Firstly, I think obviously that we may consider this so-called fourth industrial revolution, that it's not just industrial revolution. This is really totally different types of revolution. So in the way we call it maybe digital revolution or intelligent revolution in a way, yeah? Because now I think if we still perceive this kind of like a process from the industry perspective, industrial revolution perspective, we may not, I think, get really a kind of comprehensive picture. Because you see, intelligence in particular, this artificial intelligence, in a way, maybe at some point, that's why some kind of scientists even worry about this artificial intelligence. Even now, you see the intelligence of human being. If that happens, basically the world will be dominated or controlled by artificial intelligence, by robots, whatever. So this is something I think will fundamentally change every part of the society, being economic activity, being human being interactions, and being the relationship between the human being and the nature. So this is the first point. I think the implication of the development of this digital technology and applications, including AI, I think is fundamentally changing the operation of the entire world. That this is the first point. Secondly, obviously that we all that agree that there are good and bad things of the application of the leading technologies. But technologies themselves, there's no such kind of bad and good thing. It depends on how you use it. So that's why, with all the challenges faced by humanity in the process of this digital revolution, as stressed by Vicky, that the challenges basically, we need a stronger role of government at this stage. Now, government really need to step in, not only individual government, the government globally. I think the safety summit held in the UK is a good step, yeah, towards this direction. Now, government really need to step in to invest more in this field. Not only this computing power, this public cloud service, that from the point of increased access to this service, from the perspective also reducing energy consumption, yeah, and also concerning the quality of data, yeah. Not also from business, from an industry perspective, you cannot expect individual company or industry we could share this data for the public interest. That's why the government need to provide incentives to develop a model, business model, could really set how be attractive for those business companies that to share their data, their information, that for public use, yeah, and they will also benefit from this. Another thing also I think this talent, skills, the gap. Now with us, this is really something very serious. You cannot expect individual companies to do this job. So definitely the government, education system, redevelop their kind of curriculum. Then also to have more dynamic, this partnership with industry with ICT companies, because you cannot expect really that education system now could produce this kind of big number of, say, graduate in AI, in digital technology. You need really to partner with ICT companies. Of course, in this process, also I think UN system, include the ITU, UNIDO, could be part of this effort. Now the AI kind of global platform could be one that to have this kind of like capacity building kind of programs. Finally, of course, I think this is something now changing every day. Yeah, every hour. Then already the panel including Marco recommend some books for us to read. I think there are lots more. I think we need to really keep this in mind, keep this kind of in mind, that because everybody, this is something new. We need to everybody work together to understand, not only from the practitioners, from decision makers, from the business, from also student side. We need to really to work together to understand the implication of the development of these leading technologies and how we work together that to use this for good, for the good of humanity, for this planet in a sustainable manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
The applause should be given to our panels. Thank you. Yes.